Hello, everyone. We are coming to episode 175 of the Double Cross Anime. I'm Mario, and with me here is Whooper.
I'm very sleepy today. Hello.
Absolutely, too, for another reason.
Yeah, you just woke up.
Um,
For me, it's bedtime.
yeah, yeah, and the daylight saving just kicked in for me as well. So I just kind of, not knowing the time. But we're here today to talk about the previous season, summer 2024. We picked the three shows, and these three shows are Oshinoko, the Dead Demons, Dededede, Destruction,
hmm
and the Elusive Samurai.
Yes, the elusive samurai.
Yep,
Nigejozu no Wakagimi.
yep. So we originally didn't know what the first show to pick. So we all agreed to do the too many losing heroines, but I was the one who like contact Whooper to say that I watched some of the episodes of losing heroines, and it was great.
It
So
wasn't
let us
great.
try something else. Yeah,
That's too
to
bad.
put it very mildly.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know who possibly could have seen that coming.
Not me.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about anime in general, though. I kind of feel like I'm down on it right now. I'm not really looking forward to doing my end of the year run through of a lot of shows that I missed.
Uh,
Um,
you,
there's a whole bunch
you
that
know,
I'm gonna have to watch, and I don't really feel like it. Work is
yeah.
hell right now, so it was painful enough just to get through these three shows, especially since Dead Demon is 18 episodes long, 17
Yeah,
plus episode zero, which I did rewatch.
yeah. This is Whooper used to rant after he had to watch how many episodes? 12 episodes today. So
Yeah,
and he feel tired. So
yeah, this is my usual thing, but I'm also just exhausted due to stuff that's going
yeah.
on in my personal life. So I really was
Oh,
not in the mood
yeah.
to watch a lot of these episodes. We'll see whether that spills over into my commentary.
All right. So which one do you want to start first?
I think I would prefer to start with Dead Demon because every
Yep.
single minute that I'm still awake right now, I'm like
Mm.
losing my memory of what I just watched.
Losing memory. Yep.
And Dead Demon's probably the only one that really deserves a thorough, you know, breakdown or discussion or whatever it is we're
Yep.
about to do.
Yep. All right. So Dead Demons. It is.
Yeah. I know recently, I sent you a message saying, well, here's my progress on what I've seen so far in terms
Right.
of what we need to cover for the podcast. And you said in response, oh, well, I've already finished Dead Demon and I've only seen a handful of episodes of the other two. So did you like speed through it because you were really enjoying it, or did it just kind of turn out that way randomly, or what was the reason for that?
No, no. It just yeah. I have to be very specific about like what show I watch, and Dead Demons, Dededede, Destruction. I just gonna call it Dededede now. It's a show that I have a lot of backlog on that because I only watched like the first episode and maybe half of like the episode zero. So it was the one that I want to try to finish first. In a sense, just try to go through all that, and I know the quality, so I there's no point that I would doubt that like this is gonna get boring or I gonna get bored watching it. So watching it all in I think in the span of like less than a week, like 3 4 days is an experience.
It's an experience. Okay, pretty
Yeah.
non-committal assessment there.
Well, I,
Um,
I I put it out there like out the tree, so I feel like this one is on another level. So it's gonna be like in like I gonna we're gonna have conversation about that by the end of this year. Uh,
yeah, probably
So
so. I mean, certainly in comparison to Elusive Samurai and Oshi no Ko,
Yep.
Dead Dead Demon is far better. But I will say it didn't meet the expectations that I had for it after like a handful of episodes. After watching the first four or so, I was like,
Right.
"Whoa, this is really amazing."
Yep.
And it kind of
I
went too wild, I thought, towards the end.
huh. Right. I thought it was a bit too mild.
Too mild.
Mm.
Oh, I okay.
Yep.
Too wild on one side, too mild on the other. What was mild about it, man? There was time travel and
Yeah.
gigantic lasers being fired from an
I
orbiting city in space, and
Yeah, the thing is, I guess, all right, we can talk a bit to the end, but the thing is, we know that Oran and Kadude, or Kachan, they are they're responsible for the time sheet. So we see in one of the episodes where it's a whole flashback about how Kachan just Katan just going crazy
yeah, that's
and
episode 6. The two flashback
that's
episodes are 5 and 6, and 6 is
yeah
the one where she,
and
goes on her
just
crusade, I guess.
yeah just go full Death Note mode.
Yeah, but that's what I
Uh,
thought too.
but I think that one is really effective in a way that like it's informed, and I think it's a backbone as well, because after that Oran just kind of like go to another timeline, and this is a timeline that we watch, and she's the one actually responsible for like the whole aliens coming into the world and how they was killed. So that's all good, but I just feel like in that timeline, uh, um, Oran, Catan, and the girls are not that involved into the story. I think which is kind of intentional, but I just would love they to be more involved. That's what I feel.
I mean, I think that Dead Dead Demon it's definitely segregates the sort of slice of life part of its
Yep.
story that focuses
Mm,
on Ontan and Karode,
yep.
and the sci-fi part where we see lots of scenes set in the army base and in the prime minister's office and at
Mm,
SES Corp, and um, I don't know, a bunch of other stuff like the indie journalist
yep.
and what's her face's Kiho's ex-boyfriend Kohiru
Oh
Imaki
man.
or Kenichi.
Yep. Oh.
There's the show just it introduces all those characters, and slowly over the course of its run, like at the start it's all about the girls, and by the end it's not much about them at all. Like the
Mm,
development of Ontan and Olba's relationship, for example, Ontan being the invader in the idol's body,
mm.
like him giving her first kiss when they're on that beach trip, just kind of is like a left field
Oh,
development. It's like,
I
mostly
love that already.
relegated to a couple of still images.
Hmm. Yeah.
And so you don't really feel that coming on. It just sort of happens because at that point the show is already giving full episodes to like is creating full episodes where Ontan and Karode are not even present, or they just make a very short cameo.
Mm,
I didn't really like that.
right.
I appreciated the fact that the show was making a statement by valuing its sci-fi aspects, or rather, I appreciated that the show was making a statement by valuing its slice of life stuff over the sci-fi,
Yeah.
and saying that even look, the we're on the fast track to hell and annihilation and the apocalypse, but the friendship between these female characters is what we're going to choose to portray instead, or portray with more frequency, or put more importance on. Then that stopped being the show's thesis as it went on, and I was like,
Yeah.
I don't like
I
this.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. I think the main message that we're supposed to get out of like the backstory of the two girls is that whatever happened, Oran will choose Cadode first. She will protect her friend first, you know.
Yeah.
And throughout the current timeline, there is a lack of urgency regarding that. They just their relationship just kind of just stand still, just like that, you know, for the rest of its run. So I just kind of want to see more, like what happened to candidate Oran, preferably candidate, so that Lord Oran have to like, do something in order to save her friend again to reconfirm to reaffirm the message again, and we don't get to see that.
Um, you're talking.
So that's yes. So I kind of let down by that,
Well,
but
what exactly did you? Because
yep,
in the so about to start talking about timelines, and with
yep,
regards, there are three different timelines in this show.
yep,
There's the one that we follow most of the time, which is the one
mm-hmm,
that Ontan creates, that
yep,
she travels to in order to try to save Karude. Then there's the
mm-hmm,
one that we first see in the flashback in episodes 5 and 6, which is
yep,
the original timeline, I suppose, where
mm-hmm,
Ontan first met Karude, and they encounter the invader, like
mm-hmm,
during their, what is it, like their school trip or something, like a
yep,
cram school field trip.
yep, yep,
That's the one where Karude commits suicide. And then the third timeline is the one that Nobuo, Karude's father, who's a manga editor, that's the one that he creates with help
yep,
from Makoto, who
and
shows him like memories from the other two timelines somehow.
yep, and that from episode 0 and episode 17.
Yeah, he goes to the new timeline in episode 17. Episode 0 slots in between 16 and 17, and
Yep.
that's where he wakes up having like an 8 year gap in his memory because
Mm.
for the past 4 years, I think, or is it
For
8?
years, I think it got to be 8 years.
It's 8 years in total that he was unconscious. So I guess it was at the start of that 8 year period that an invader like
Yep.
took over
Invite.
his brain.
And yeah,
We don't get to
and
see
that's
how the invader
do
like
that.
leaves though his brain or his consciousness, do we?
No, we don't.
Yeah,
And
I wonder if that's in the manga. I wonder if a lot of things that I have questions about are in the manga.
yeah, and that's one other thing that I feel dissatisfied as well. But I gotta get you to finish your thought first before I get into that.
I don't even remember what my thought was
You
or where I was.
yeah,
Oh, the three timelines,
the
and I was
the
about to
two
start talking about
timelines.
timelines.
Yep,
Yeah, so you said that you wanted to see Ontan save Karode again in the in I guess what we'll call the main timeline, the one where we spend most of our
yep,
time.
yep.
Why? I mean, she already saved her by creating that new timeline. Why would you feel it necessary for her to have to do it again?
Yeah, because one, there is no urgency in the main timeline now because I just said that their relationship just kind of like in the standstill. They have each other. They enjoy their time with each other. I think that's the point. But uh, there's just no urgency at all.
Yeah, I think that is the point.
Yeah.
The
Well.
What's
Mm,
urgent is that the world is going to end as a
yep.
result
Uh,
of Ontan's actions. She's created this future
yep.
where she and Karode never encountered the invader, and
Yep.
as a result, the invader. So the what's funny is there's those two other girls who go on
Yep.
the beach trip with the rest of the paranormal investigation club,
Yep.
and they're
Yep.
just
Yep.
two random girls who we meet, I think, for the first time in that beach episode, and then we see them maybe once more and then never again. And the
Yep.
two of them say that they found an alien and like tied it up.
Yep.
So it's because of them and because of how they mistreated the alien who was on that scouting mission that
Yep.
the aliens
The alien
decide
come back.
to invade and take back their ancestral land.
Yep.
So So it was kind of funny to me, like in a way that I enjoyed. There was kind of an irony to it that these two random girls whose names I'm not even sure we learn, maybe we do, but they're responsible for like the destruction of Tokyo and other surrounding parts of Japan, ultimately because of the lack of consideration and kindness that they paid to the alien visitor.
Yep. Yep.
But yeah, I'm the urgency comes from aspects of the plot, parts of the story that have nothing to do with Ontan and
Yep.
Karode, and I think that's okay. Like for the show
Mm.
to kind of draw a hard line between the main girls on the one side and all the sci-fi stuff on the other,
Yep. Yep. I agree.
and to prioritize one or the other. In
Yep.
so doing, kind of make a statement, like I said earlier. And I really like this statement the show was making at first, and then its
That's
focus started to shift. I think the
mm,
first episode where we didn't see either Ontan nor Karode at all
yep.
was was it episode 14?
All right. I try to remember that now. Is that the one that talking about Oba who's decided uh to go to the basically just go to the main mothership and try to uh what did he do again?
He like shuts it down, basically.
Yeah, tried. Yeah.
I can't remember what the exact specifics when it comes to like technobabble. I don't tend to hang on to that very well in my brain. But he had to just hit the off switch essentially.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until, I mean, I'm looking through my notes here, and I took so many for this show because it's hard to keep everything straight
Yep.
that my Word doc ends up being really long, and so it's hard for me to locate anything. But I think episode 15 is the one where he kind of makes up his mind to
All right.
to
Yep.
leave the beach town where they're at and go back to Tokyo and try to save the human race, essentially. But it's episode 14 is the one where there's a story about there's like a female journalist who's obsessed with her social media accounts, and she does a little mini documentary on this woman who lives in the
Oh,
contaminated
I
A-ray zone in Tokyo or on
yep.
the outskirts of
Yep.
Tokyo or something. And
Yep.
she makes up a story about her mom having dementia and stuff. And then another part of that episode is the JSDF member, I think.
Um all right. Just the episode about that woman who take care of her mom who is supposed to be dementia. Is she this brother of Kenichi? Um and Kenichi is Kiho ex-boyfriend. Is she the sister of him? Because
I
we kind of saw like the pictures of the young guy, and I
Yeah,
suppose that was him, but I'm not too sure.
I do remember the show like referencing a couple times the fact that she had a brother who was like the
Very
preferred
smart.
sibling, essentially,
Yep.
and
Mm.
she was the black sheep, but everyone loved her brother. I don't know who the brother was. I tried to make that connection,
Right.
but I wasn't.
Be-
No, I don't think so.
yeah.
Kenichi, he's the bowl cut guy who ends up going like Death
Yep.
Note mode, right?
Oh, I hate him. He just kind of like kill all these invaders, aliens, and he survived somehow in the end.
Yeah. I mean, you see in the shot where he like loses his balance on the top of the UFO and then falls, you
Yep.
do see that like falling just after him is one of the alien gadgets that lets you fly. One of the little things that
Yep.
you strap onto your head.
Yep.
So I guess that's how he survived, but I wasn't really happy about that. And it also didn't make sense to me that Makoto and Futaba survived and were able to like be part of ship in the future when we saw them like huddling under their desks or in their apartments or whatever as the whole screen turned red and everything exploded and like Tokyo was destroyed essentially.
That's that's the thing because Tokyo destroyed, and Makoto at the time is not in Tokyo because he go back to his country.
Right, but
So
we also saw that the we
For
saw
Futaba, which is
Makoto and
true.
Futaba. They were both of them like the screen turned red and they were like hiding and going, "Wah!" You know?
Yep, and they survive.
Yeah, I don't get that. Like if
The thing is, I think the two girls survived as well, but they was killed later on because they tried to get into the robot, and they tried a little bit of red rebellions before they got killed. So
which
I
two
think we
girls?
learned that the two girls, our main two girls. So
You think they got
I
killed?
they got killed afterwards. I think we learned about that in like one of the video for Makoto. I think in back in episode 0 when he shows Kadode's fathers about the whereabouts of Kadode and Orant.
Oh, that's
So
episode
remember, like,
17. That's not in episode 0.
all right, 17. I watched episode 0 back when we ship the timeline. So basically, that episode is like episode 16. But yeah, all right, we try to connect everything all together now.
Yeah, it's hard to do. There are a lot of things that I'm not
All right,
100% sure about. I'm kind of
I
interested in
can
reading the manga for this,
yeah,
honestly.
I can tell you I can tell you the timeline based on the mascot character though. So the main timeline gonna be Isobeyan, the mushroom.
Yeah.
The previous timeline gonna be Debeko, the guy the girl who look like Nobita in Doraemon, and
Debako
then
is a character in the Isobeyan manga.
oh shit. All right, so there's another one.
Yeah, there's
Okay,
just
hey, let me
Isobeyan
see.
in both of the timelines we're familiar with, and then the one you're about to say in the new timeline.
Right. There is another guy who look like a man who look
His name is
like
like
a
Zunachi or something.
yeah, yeah,
He
right.
looks like a zucchini, I think.
That's correct. Yep. And then we learned that when they're doing on the scribbling about the names, we saw the name Doraemon as well. So I think it's maybe implied that in this current timeline, this one are Doraemon. I think that's smart.
Well, the new character Zunachi has just like replaced Doraemon somehow.
Yep.
I don't really
Mhm.
I don't quite understand why that is.
Yeah. So it's
Because he
supposed to
only
be
went
another
back.
timeline.
Nobuo, her Kadode's father, only went back 12 years. That's not far enough to influence Isobeyan, like its creation, because Isobeyan
Yeah.
already existed.
Yeah. But the thing is that already changed. Like Kadode's favorite character is not Isobeyan then, but that that characters.
Yeah,
So something must have been changed before that,
yeah. I'm
which is
just that just doesn't make any
confused.
sense to
Yep.
me because the way that the time shifting is explained by the
Yep.
scouting alien who came
Yep.
originally to Earth is that his ship is anchored to a specific like place and time,
Mhm.
and so you'd only be
Yep.
able to go back to that particular place. Of course, it's time travel, so you can just make whatever rules you want. But
Mhm.
I think the show
Yep.
probably kind of plays it fast and loose, you know.
Yep. Sorry.
I mean, and that's okay because it you get to think, you get to think
Yep.
about it, try to
And
puzzle it
and
out.
I all right. I think that's only negative that we talk about the show, but there's a lot of positive that I can give about the show. Like I there's a lot of characters that who grow on me. So not the main characters because I don't think Kadude and Orange, at the end of at the end of each run they are that important. But you know Oba, the way that he transformed from like an invader who's in the human body, and then he learned many things about the human, and he act more human now. I think that's a great growth from him, and even like someone like Makoto, like Futaba is not relevant at the end, but Makoto, he's amazing. They amazing. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't exactly know what pronoun is appropriate. He refers to himself as a boy. He
Yep.
dresses as a girl.
Yep.
They might be the best one to go
Yep.
with, like gender neutral.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, I like Makoto. I like Futaba. You know, the fact that she's an idealist, and that idealism gets put to the test when Ship wants to like take things to the next level,
Yep.
and give her a plastic gun that she can use at the unveiling of SES Corp's new like Fujin technology or whatever.
Hmm.
One, the head of Ship, that woman who like sees Futaba on the street at a meeting or a demonstration or something and says, "Can we talk?" That's in episode, I don't know, 12 or 13.
Yep.
And then later at this SES like presentation where this woman is in attendance and is planning on shooting the head of SES Corp
Yep.
with her plastic gun, when it turns out that he's been replaced because he was assassinated by CIA agents, I guess.
Yep.
She's like, "Well,
Yep.
the mission's off because the only reason I wanted to do this in the first place was because I loved him. I'm like, I was a
Yep.
jilted, I'm like a scorned lover." I was like, "Well,
Yep.
that's kind of lame."
I think it's supposed to be lame. It's supposed to be like their motive is pretty shaky.
Uh, I don't know if I agree with that. Like, I mean, it
Yeah.
comes across as it comes across as shaky, but I don't know if that's what we were supposed to think of it. Like a lot of male female relationships in not only this show but also Poon Poon, which we read years ago, another
Hmm.
Inio Asano work. They're like, I don't know, they feel kind of thin or transactional.
Hmm.
Like, for example, in episode 17, when like the second half of it, when we see how everything has turned out as a result of Nobuo jumping to this new timeline and kind
Oh,
of creating a better world,
all right. I know
Karode
where
is
you're
together
getting at.
with Watarase Sensei,
Yep. Yep.
and
Oh man.
she's not happy about it.
Yep.
And there's also a scene where Futaba sleeps with a ship member, and the next morning, he's like, "No, I think I'm gonna quit ship, and I really don't like that you're a part of it, so you should quit too." And then
Yep.
there's also a scene where a couple of other ship members, neither of whom are main characters, but one of them is like a branch
The
leader,
leader.
and the other one
Yep.
is that girl with the weird face that Asano draws. Sometimes it looks kind of like a dog's
Yep.
mouth.
Yep.
There's a scene where the two of them sleep together, and then afterwards he's like, "Yeah, I don't know how much longer I'm going to be in Tokyo. Uh, I think I'm thinking of like moving out or leaving ship behind. Really, it's kind of time for me to move on." She's like, "You bastard, I hate you." That I just a very cynical view of, I don't know, relationships and sex,
Yeah.
and I don't know how much of that is really supposed to be viewed as like commentary, and how much of it is just Asano's naked viewpoint on screen.
Yeah. Well, I think it's more of a latter, to be honest. But well,
There is a
yeah.
certain
Well,
humor to it, yeah, but it's also kind of like depressing.
yeah. It is.
I mean,
Well, at least it.
talking about relationships, there's also Kiho's relationship with Kohiru Imaki before he becomes Light Yagami from Death Note.
Yeah.
In episode
Yeah.
3, she goes on a date with him. And in episode 7, I think the short girl with brown hair and glasses, who's part of the female friend group, she goes on a date
Yep.
with a guy who he's kind of like a jock, but
Mm,
he's a good guy, and he says, I've always liked you, I've always admired you, and she says, I don't really have time for a relationship right now.
yeah.
So I mean, I enjoyed that that little mini plot in episode 7 with I and the other guy.
Yep.
So there was some relationship based stuff that I could swallow
Yep.
without it tasting too
Oh,
bitter.
I I tell you what, like Kiho's getting rejection from Kenichi is like really painful for her. Like it is painful to even like for we to even witness it because all of Kenichi's thought or like or in his mind at the moment is definitely not Kiho, and
Yeah,
and
he's obsessed with
he
his follower count
yeah, and
on
he
social
just tried
media.
to brush her off,
Yeah, he calls her a
so
sheep. That's what I remember.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Doesn't think about any of that by herself, just want to follow the normal life. And don't you see there is a conspiracy behind
Yeah,
of that?
yeah. That's the thing. Like after their date goes really poorly and she breaks up with him,
Yeah,
then she leaves and goes to a famides, like a family restaurant, with the other
yeah,
girls, and she kind of like warms up to Ontan a little bit, who she's previously had sort of an antagonism with. Since
hmm,
Kiho is the one who's most interested in relationships, and Ontan is like, no, that all that stuff is dirty and disgusting and for suckers.
hmm,
Even though the two of them have opposite views on relationships and on men, the two of them kind of bond a little bit in that family restaurant scene, and
yeah,
that stuff like that really captured me in the early episodes of watching this show. Just like
mm,
simple stuff like that, with the UFO just kind of hanging around in the background, and the idea that, well, maybe there are aliens living among us, kind of floating in the back of your mind, in your subconscious. But the story of these girls growing up was in the foreground. I liked that
mm,
arrangement.
yeah,
And when we get an
eh,
episode like 14 where it's the journalist and the woman whose mother is faking dementia, and then I don't know what else. The attack
yeah,
by the CIA on SES Corp, where they kill the boss and then they try to abduct
and
whatever that woman's name is, who like controls the AI system Plankton, because it views her as its mother and
mother,
stuff. Like
yeah,
that's just, you've gone too far. I don't care
and
about any of those things.
all the killings, like the massacre of the invaders, like would they just like hanging out, talking, and then you will see like one of the robots just come in, and they was like, "Oh, what's that?"
Yeah,
And then it starts shooting to all of these invaders. There's one thing that I just tell you that I feel dissatisfied, and that is the fact that we know that some of the alien can get into the body. So we see that twice in Oba and in Nobu, where the alien can be able to like get uh host inside the human and maybe control their bodies.
yeah,
My question is that's why don't the other aliens do that? Like is one of the way that they can survive. And I did suspect at one point that like we will see like a few of like the whole human who actually being aliens
yeah.
already, but
Me
but
too.
we don't get to see any of that at
You know,
all. Like yeah, it's not even the point of consideration. Like I think actually there's one point where the uh, where the investor guy who questioned whether the head of the SES or the is that the alien or not? Remember
right?
that? But that's like the only one mention on that. Otherwise, it just feel a bit undeveloped for me.
Yeah. there are parts of this show that do kind of feel that way.
Yeah.
It just bit off like a lot. I don't know. I don't necessarily want to say more than it could chew because it did have to condense a 100 chapter manga into just 18 episodes. And in the case of the
Right.
film adaptation, just two films. I have no idea how they managed to do that.
Mm. Yeah.
I do feel as though like there are some episodes where you get a sense of how the film managed to condense things. I can't give you
Mm.
like specific episode numbers or anything, but sometimes there would be like a little mini plot that you would watch unfold over the course of half an episode. And then later on
Right.
in the show, there would be a little scene that was left into the ONA version, which we watched, where a
Mm.
character like has a flashback to something and they remember it. And
Yeah.
I think that's
Yeah.
probably
Yeah.
what the film did was it just like it cut some scenes and just had characters remember the essentials from it in
Yeah.
like a little miniature flashback and then got on kept on with business as usual.
Yeah. And yeah. And the big flashback that we see about the two girls' backstory, I still feel that it's a backbone of like of guiding us what's gonna happen. Like what did happen and and what's gonna happen in this big timeline. So I would love for that flashback to be uh more fresh out because it's one episode is a bit too quick to see Canada's transformation into
Yeah,
the
I agree.
darkness.
I definitely agree. It does span more than just one episode. It's 5 and
It
6.
does. Yeah.
But 6 is the one where we see Karode, kind of break bad. And it really does happen too quickly.
Yeah.
I was kind of disappointed by that, but
Mm.
it's still relatively effective. Like the scene where she commits suicide, the scene where she and
Mm.
Ontan are walking up the steps in her apartment complex, and
Mm.
slowly the scene gets like the color palette starts to change, and eventually when they get to the top floor, it's all bathed in red, and she starts to Karode starts to talk about you know that how things could have been different, and she starts comparing herself to Debako in the Isobayan manga, and like in comparing herself to that character, she kind of points out the things that the steps that she took that were wrong, or things that could have turned out differently, and she kind of mentally and in terms of her speech, she gets closer and closer to that moment where she's going to break and say, "Do you think I can
Mm.
fly?"
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's beautiful because
Yeah, it
she
was
she she
that. Yeah, that scene really kind of made the rest of episode 6 work. Even
mm.
though she became like an evil alien gadget using mastermind a little too quickly, the effectiveness of the suicide scene kind of made her emotional pain feel real.
Yeah.
But the show wasn't always that effective
Mm.
when it
Yeah.
went for backstory and when it went for like timeline related stuff. It wasn't always operating at that level. I don't think.
I
It
actually
was
agree
always
with
interesting though. Like I was
yeah,
always interested, even
agree.
when I was dead tired and watching a bunch of episodes just in the lead up to this podcast. I was like, okay, so if that's the direction they decided to go in, then what's next? What's next?
And I really like the way that it goes as well in the sense that you see when these girl grow up, so they start I think in maybe in the middle school and then they go up to high school and then they graduate. We see like all the progress, but then the episode cut to like an episode where it introduced Futaba, who we didn't know about anything about her at the time, and Makoto, and then when they get into uni, the two of them meet, and this like the most natural thing ever.
Yeah,
So it just kind of like really work.
yeah, I agree.
Uh,
I really liked
so
their introductions.
yeah,
That was around the halfway mark, I think, episode
yeah,
8 or
yeah,
9, something like that.
yeah,
And that's also like the plane that Futaba takes. Futaba and Makoto, I guess they sit next to each other on the plane, right, to Tokyo. And
Yep.
that's kind of
Mhm.
combined with the sci-fi half of the show because that's when
Right. Yep.
they
Yep. Yep. Yep.
like the Chokujin or whatever fires its first green laser blast at the mothership, and a whole bunch of
Yep.
aliens fall out of the or
The
no, it
drop.
fires at one of the individual crafts that detaches from the mothership. It vaporizes it, and all the aliens that are inside, the invaders, fall to the ground. And
Yep.
Futaba and Makoto witness that from their plane.
Yep.
So
And then
the
we, yeah, sorry, and then we get the ending where they say like, the end of the world's gonna be end in 31 days or something, you know?
at
It
first I think
just
it's 6 months.
6 months, alright. Yep.
Yeah, until 8/32, because 8/31, August 31st, was the day that the invaders showed up.
Yep.
But we get the first time that the show references 8/32, which is a date that doesn't exist. August
Yep.
32nd. We get
Yep.
a voiceover from Karode from the future, I think, saying that you know 6 months ago we didn't like my friends and I didn't know that the world was going to come to an end. We were just busy living our lives and enjoying our time in college and all these new experiences. And then bam, on screen text, 6 months until the world ends. I thought that was kind of cool. Like there's such
It
a
is.
direct contrast. Like the slice of life stuff, the girl stuff, and the sci-fi stuff, they're connected because you see Futaba and
Yep.
Makoto watching the aliens like rain down out of the sky. So
Yep.
there's overlap there. But at the same time, you're hearing from a future version of Karode that they're gonna live their own lives and be be content to grow up and have that be their experience,
Yep.
even as the apocalypse is bearing down on them.
Yep.
I just feel like there was a better balancing act earlier on. I know I've said that multiple times now, but that is kind of my overall takeaway.
So I tell you this that I enjoy most of it run. I just feel like the last few episodes where it's like the climax where it lacking a bit for me. They didn't really reach the potential that I would hope for, but like overall it is like still very ambitious project. That kind of mix between like the sci-fi and the slice of life of the girls very seamlessly for me.
Yeah.
There's many characters though that I really hate.
Oh, yeah, like
Kenichi, for example,
Kenichi.
he just yeah. Oh, wow. I just want some divine punishment
Well, I
to
mean, who
him.
else? Who else is there to hate?
Oh, who else? The like the lady who will persuade Futaba to kill that girl as well.
Oh, the head of ship.
And yeah, it just yeah some of them
Yeah, I guess.
and even like Sensei what Araseo Sensei, he's just a nobody. He's
Oh
just
well, I
yeah.
mean, he's a big scumbag.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this wouldn't be an Inio Asano manga without an inappropriate
Yeah.
relationship. An
We haven't
inappropriate
talked. Yeah, we haven't talked about Oran's brothers,
Hiroshi. Yeah.
Hiroshi. Yeah. He's kind of like he's kind of being there for her the whole time, and he's like one of the few in the original timeline who know about the time machine, and yeah, I just don't think that we don't give him too much credit, so I just give him a credit now. Good job, bro.
Yeah, he's important in the original timeline because he sends Ontan off, like telling her that she. I don't know. He kind of gives her like a generic pep talk a little bit, like
Yeah, remember
it's
to protect her or
yeah.
something. Yeah.
He just says, this it's all up to you. No one can no one can tell you who to be except for you, and the future is in your hands and stuff like that. In the main timeline, where he's a huge fat guy, he, I, he doesn't do much of consequence, and
Yep.
then he's back to being thin and quote unquote good again in the eventual timeline, the ultimate timeline that Nobuo
Yep.
creates. I don't know. I am willing to bet that he gets, he's more important in the manga.
Yep.
For example, there's a scene where, after Oba is kind of revealed to be an invader,
Yep.
and several people know about it. Ontan knows, Karode knows, and the president of the Paranormal Investigation Club knows
Yep. Yep.
at some early point around the midpoint of the show. It's just those three. And eventually, the cover story is that Oba is Ontan's boyfriend.
Yep.
And there's an episode where Hiroshi comes over to her apartment for one reason or another, and then he's introduced like, this is Oba. He's Oran's boyfriend, and he's like, okay, well, I'm leaving. I don't know. It felt very abrupt. Maybe that's how it was in the manga as well, but I kind of feel like he was shortchanged.
Yep.
Asano has an interest in like weirdos and perverts and degenerates and like permanently
Yep.
online losers. And some of the characters in this series fit those bills. Like
Yep.
Kenichi is just a social media addicted conspiracy theorist, violent alt right scumbag,
Yep.
and Hiroshi is I don't know. He's not the
Yep.
same as Kenichi, but he is just
The
a
kind of guy who.
sedentary slob who gets off on like getting into internet arguments with people.
Yep.
He's given a more sympathetic portrayal, but certainly, his character design isn't the most flattering. So that probably tells you something about what we're meant to think of him.
Yep. 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 True. All right. You have any other notes? Because it's run like 50 minutes now, so we can wrap up some of the thought and then go to one of the shows.
Donald Trump showed up.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Didn't catch
remember
that
President
referendum.
Padron, the
Oh,
American
right. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
president?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
In the background of one scene or another, you hear him saying, that mothership in Japan is like a kid that hasn't gotten laid, and he's about to shoot his load. As the leader of the free world, we've got to cool down that erection and get things under control. He just says all that during a press conference. I mean, I can't do a Trump impression. I don't know how, but he's clearly meant to be Trump.
All
And
right.
apparently in the manga, it's way more obvious and way more direct, just
Okay.
from what I've read online.
Yep. Cool.
The CIA plot is probably also a little bit more fleshed out in the source material, I have to imagine, because they just kind of show up one day, after a
And
conversation in the prime minister's office about how they're relying on
yep.
like American tech and they've built all these back doors into Japan's infrastructure.
Yep.
Just seems like a lot of words to kind of justify how sudden the CIA operatives appearing is.
Yep. Mm. Yep.
But I thought it was pretty funny that Trump showed up.
Yep.
Oh, I mean, I have tons and tons of notes, but yeah, how about the kiss? The Karode and Ontan, they share a kiss in episode 16.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you remember?
Did they? No.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I don't even
Is
really
all
remember the
right.
context very well cuz that was one of
Yeah.
the episodes I saw when I was like half dead.
I.
But
They share kiss.
yeah, they
Over
do.
what? Oh. All right.
I
Hmm.
can't even remember why.
All right.
Around the same time frame as, I don't know if you, this is a very weird detail, but do you remember when Ontan and Karode are talking, and Ontan says, "Oh, look, there's a snow crab,"
Right. Yeah, I
You
can
sort
recall
of
that.
do you remember that? And Kadode's like, don't try to change the subject now. We're having a serious discussion.
Yep.
They're still not back in Tokyo at this point. This is probably after Makoto has already left to go back to their hometown.
Yep. And we see the actual snow crabs just lying in one of the tables.
Yeah. And as Kadode is trying to talk to Ontan, she's like, "Look, a snow crab."
Yep.
And
All right, but
crabs are known
I
for like they experience like anxiety and fear
oh
in kind of a unique way in the animal kingdom. So I think that was the purpose of the crab showing up in that scene
huh.
was to kind of clue us into the fact that even though the girls are not really part of the sci-fi plot, they're still worried about the world ending.
Yep. Yep. All right.
I don't know. I there's so much else to touch on where the show is concerned, but I think I'm probably good.
All right. Yep. I still don't remember that case, but
It's if
uh,
you still have the episodes on your hard drive, it's episode 16.
right.
Probably in
Yep.
the first
Then I
half of
have that.
it, if memory serves.
All right. But yeah, like you said, I might give the manga a chance to see how how the anime differ from that, or like what sort of information it didn't include in the anime. But I would say like 18 episodes. They do it quite, like they pat it down quite alright. I like the structure of that. I just don't think that episode zero, why they put it there, work. It should be like the episode before the finale. Uh, and yeah,
Yeah, but even
otherwise,
episode 0, even if you put it
mm,
between 16 and 17 in its proper place, it's still
yeah,
you still have so many questions. Like, okay, what happened to the alien that was, that had taken over his
uh,
brain, that was acting as a
yep,
parasite? Like, how did it
uh,
leave? What was the reason for that? Did it Maybe some of the
yeah,
questions are answered in the episode and I can't call them to mind right
yeah.
now.
He died. He died. That's why Nobu regained consciousness. Why he died? He said like he been struggling for a while, and that Nobu might just start to come back as well. So he been like kind of like fighting. So he know that he doesn't have much time left. So that's why he leave Nobu a text message,
Yeah, I remember
not
the
a text
message on his
message, but
phone.
like yeah, it's just a draft in the phone that's saying, like, hey, the guy who I've been hosting, sorry for, living in your body for 8 years. So, yes, all about that. And
Yeah,
yeah,
but
and then we start to learn about, like this faction in the Osaka, I suppose, where, like they have their own hierarchies and, it's just different side. So not outside of Tokyo, how people live. So I think it does end up for a bit. We don't know really much about the real, it's just like one of the side stories that uh, the shows like to go sometimes.
yeah, I
And I
wish there
like
had been
that.
fewer of those
Yep.
and more, you know, about the main characters.
Yep. Well,
But you can't always
wonder.
get what you want.
Yeah, true. Wonder what happened with the original invader or aliens in the main timeline. So after he being tied up, we never see him again, right?
I don't
Because
think so.
he was supposed to be just a scout.
Yeah, but maybe we do. He's not the same as Tsutomu, right? Who was the invader, like sort of the main invader character, the one whose
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah.
romantic partner is murdered, and he still advocates for like nonviolence.
Yep, yep, yep.
And
He the
some of
one
the
who had
other,
the yeah. No, he isn't that. He isn't that guy.
yeah,
And then there is a guy who's supposed to who is I think the leader who like can blow up by himself.
the one who wears the cape.
Yep.
He's sort of the main, he's the main advocate for like violent resistance
Mm.
against humanity, since they're the invaders are being slaughtered.
just pure alien. But I like the fact that we slowly learn about them as well. So we see them, and then we learn that they can talk, and then we learn that like inside the helmet there is like a face of like resemblance human as well. So they kind of like I would say like cousin or something to the humankind, not that far off from the human, and that make it even more interesting. Even though their blood is a blue, not
Well, they
thick red.
also say, or somebody says that Earth was their original homeland. They occupied the
Yep,
planet before humanity did.
yep,
So it's possible that they also evolved from primates, and
yep.
then they like evolved quickly enough that they got the technology to leave the planet, and then they
And
came back
maybe
later as
yeah,
as humanity, who perhaps evolved from primates more slowly, and kind of
yep,
took a different like evolutionary trajectory.
yep,
They were just you know they were just starting to be the invaders' equals, I guess, or even surpassing them in terms of like their weaponry and their self-preservation instinct
yep,
manifesting as violence.
yep. Alrighty. Uh,
Yeah, it's interesting show. Lots to think about.
yeah. All right. So shall we do another show?
Sure.
All right. How about the Elusive Samurai?
The Elusive Samurai. You know what was really elusive while watching this was my interest in the show. That was really hard to find. It was always running away from me.
Yeah. I kind of agree with you. So and even like in the first episode, I wasn't that enthusiastic about this show compared to you. So can you tell me more about your experience watching it? It's
Um,
from being very tired watching it.
I mean, first episode, I was mostly impressed with the production,
Yeah,
and this was before the plot really got entrenched in Tsuwa, which I think is the name of the province where Tokiyuki ends up hiding out with Yorishige.
yeah,
Once the once the show settled into that rhythm of like, okay, so he's hiding out in order to build strength to eventually like reclaim the take back the power from Emperor Godai and reestablish the Kamakura shogunate. They've got to bide time in the Suwa region before that happens. So eventually the show, it locates them in the Suwa region, and then it starts introducing one antagonist every like 2 episodes or so, and that antagonist will have a superpower, be it
yeah.
like Sadamune, amazing
The I
vision,
Yeah,
or whatever Sadamune's flunky was named, the guy whose name starts with E or I think, Ichikawa. He's the one
yeah,
who can hear everything. And then there was the monk, the really violent monk with the ants crawling all over his outfit,
yeah.
and I don't know, a bunch of other
All
people,
right.
including the really big guy towards the end,
Oh, yeah,
who Yonemaru Wada. He was the pawn of the guy with the face paint and everything. Like
yeah,
the show kept introducing new antagonists for Tokiyuki and the elusive warriors, as they were called, his band of retainers, to fight. So once it
yeah,
got into that rhythm, I started to lose more and more interest.
yeah.
Because it
All
felt like
right.
less of a historical anime at that point and more of kind of a shonen anime. And I mean, it does run in Shonen Jump. It's ongoing
Yeah.
even now. But I wanted it to be more
Historical
kind of purely or
context.
strictly historical, and it is that. But it eventually you kind of start to feel that the show is just trying to make history entertaining by any means necessary, whether it be like ridiculous reaction shots or
Yeah,
just weird gross out comedy, or all the villains having bizarre superpowers and then generating a rationalization for that, like, oh, this was the last time that humanity could interact with the gods and the last time they like bestowed their blessings on people because people stopped believing in them. And
Yep, yep,
I don't
yep.
know.
Yeah, that's the whole thing about that as well. Yep.
Yeah, that was in
Uh,
what episode was that?
Toward the end.
Yeah, episode 10.
Yep.
That's the one where Tokiyuki goes to, there's the name of a particular, to Mount Moria, and he
Hmm.
finds Shizuku, who is Yorishige's daughter, like in the middle of some ritual or something on a lake,
Yep.
like on a rock in the middle of a lake, and she like grants him the ability to see these divine beasts and stuff. And then the narrator comes in and says, "Oh yes, this era of history was the last time that people could see these divine beasts because they just didn't reveal themselves to people anymore after this. Like how convenient."
All right. Two things I want to talk about. This is one. I just feel that the characters, especially the villains, who are more memorable than the cast, fit right into the cast of Golden Kamuy, and I think that is a good thing because they are like they are their own thing, like you can tell that they have their own backstory, and they could be like a protagonist for their own story, which is I think is good. But at the same time, that come to my second point is that is first the structure. I don't really like the structure of this guy who is like the the young guy have to gather all others what they call it's not a servants but the
Retainers.
people who pretenders who work for him, and he already find some of them really good ones, and uh by the guy of Yorishige, I just feel that Yorishige role in here is a bit too dominant. Like everyone listen to him, everyone uh hear about his primo he's looking into the future, and his sense of humor is just very very off-putting for me as
Yeah.
well. So
Well,
he's just a good character for me.
that's definitely a strike against the show for a lot of people. I feel. I don't
Yeah,
really enjoy the humor either.
yeah,
But that kind of plays into what I was saying before about the show trying to make history entertaining for young
yep,
audiences, like by any means
yep.
necessary. There's just a bunch of crazy, gross out,
Uh,
vaguely perverted
and
humor that he's a part of, and he's like obsessed with Tokiyuki.
yep,
But it makes sense that everyone listens to him because he is like the lord of, he's the Suamyojin. So
yep,
he's thought of as like a divine figure within the Shinato province, I guess. So the fact that everyone would take orders from him, and when he says, "Okay, we're going to follow Tokiyuki now," everyone would, it makes sense that everyone would listen. And that he would be able to
yeah,
gather like the most skilled warriors from this province and put them in the service of Tokiyuki. Like he would have that power in
yeah,
this in history.
yeah,
Excuse me.
yeah. That makes sense. Yep.
Yeah, but
Um,
he's definitely like a very grating and sort of off-putting presence because of, I don't know, his weird
and
kinks and whatever else.
yeah, and like sometimes he would break the forward as well. So he kind of comment on like the dog hunting or the dog shooting. Like this is a kind of practice that is illegal in today's. I feel sad about that, and when he tried to show Tokiyuki something, we can see the today the current landscape. Like the buildings, and I would say like Shibuya, and yeah, so he kind of the guy who had the power to see the future, which is kind of like like the a sort of like commentary to for the audience for from today perspective.
Right. Yeah. He has a like some sort of link to the present day. Every once in a while, he'll have a line of dialogue, or he'll like drop a reference to something that contemporary viewers or contemporary readers, I guess, if you're thinking about the manga, that they would recognize. Yeah, and that's definitely fourth wall breaking, but it kind of
Yeah.
fits with some of the show's other antics. Like it just wants to. It's talking to young readers, I think. It's in Shonen Jump,
Mm.
so it's trying to give them a reason to care. It's trying to speak their language,
Yeah.
and some of the show's anachronisms are kind of entertaining, like the New Year's episode where Tokiyuki and his retainers go out onto a frozen lake and play ice hockey,
Yep.
which is of course a modern sport, but they're doing it in the 14th century. I think that's pretty fun. That's the one example that's coming to mind right now, but
Mm.
there are probably others.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I
then we
I mean
get.
I kind of admire and respect the fact that the show is trying to make this period in history, which is not frequently depicted, even in Japan. I don't believe it's trying
Mm.
to make it entertaining, but it isn't always. Like the fact that there's always some new antagonist, and they're always like way super over the top evil. They just keep getting more and more evil,
Yeah.
or disgusting. Like the eye guy and the ear guy are eventually more antagonists get introduced to, like the corrupt priest, for example, who is basically just in it for like murder and massacre and blood sport,
Yeah.
and who like loves to slice the tendons of his child victims so they can't run away, and he can like sell them into slavery and stuff.
Yeah.
Once you reach that point in the story, the Sadamune and whatever his name was, Ichikawa, who have super sight and super hearing, they are
Yeah.
all of a sudden like the reasonable, rational actors. And
Yeah.
these new guys are like the untamable, disgusting cretins. And you're like, oh, well, okay, this guy whose eyes bug out of his head using this disgusting, like rubbery, elastic sound effect
Yeah.
to show that his eyes are going like squishing out of his head and everything. All of a sudden,
Yeah.
he's normalized. I
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
don't,
I
I
feel
don't
that as
know.
well.
That wasn't really effective to me. I thought in my mind like this guy's I remember him like he's still nasty. He's still like
Yeah.
a weirdo whack job.
The thing is, I think he's like the mini boss now. So as I see it, he obtained more and more of like the armies under him, and the plot gonna go, like Tokiyuki gonna kill uh one by one until he get into facing Saramune, and then maybe kill him and get into like the bigger boss with Itakuchi. So it's just like you know the whole level up here.
Yeah.
And the second thing is, even though that the priest guy, you see at the end where he's almost died, he's not dead yet, he's still
Right.
alive. And
Yeah.
like this whole thing gonna happen again, or
Yeah.
maybe he's in more reform form. So
Well,
I don't know.
I don't think he's going to be reformed in the sense that he'll like join the
No.
Hojo clan or the
Yeah.
or the Suwa clan or whatever. But he's reformed in the sense that he has like a genuine encounter with the Buddha.
Yeah.
Whereas
Yeah.
before he would like he viewed the Buddha with contempt,
Yeah.
and was only acting in his name, was only like pretending to act in his name so that he would be given power and the ability to kill.
Yeah.
He had a license to kill essentially.
Yep.
But
Yep. Yep.
then after this battle with Tokiyuki, who shows him the error of his ways by like being so graceful and elegant and whatever, then he really has an encounter with the Buddha and like sees him in the face of the moon and everything. So he's reformed in that sense. Like he's still going to be an antagonist, but
Yeah.
he he'll listen to Sadamune and won't just like go off on his own and kill people randomly.
And speaking of that, I just feel that like every time that Yorishige put Tokiyuki on spot to face them, they would have an idea of like Tokiyuki is like kind of like special kid, and they could link that he was like one of the like former king, like the uh what you say,
One
the
of the Hojo, one
Wakigami.
of the Hojo clan,
Yeah.
the
So
Kamakura
like
shogunate.
yeah, that's right. So like the way that they didn't make that connection until now, they still haven't make that connection. It's kind of like in the service of the plot, self-serving.
Maybe, but you do have to remember that this is like 700 years in the past, and this is
Yeah,
before. I mean, this is even before the printing press, isn't it? There's you can't
but
even
yeah,
make a portrait of a guy and then make a bunch of copies of it to increase
mm,
awareness of like a person's face or figure.
right,
You know everything is just completely word of mouth, like people estimating descriptions of others and doing everything verbally. I don't know that it would have been that obvious
mm,
that
all right,
Tokiyuki was a member of a particular family or clan or province,
all right, fair
especially
enough.
since a bunch of other people have crazy powers too. You know, like
Mm,
Sadamune and Ichikawa, the ear and eye guy. They have crazy powers,
yeah,
but they're not part of a particular clan. I don't think they're just retainers underneath Ashikaga.
yeah, all right. How about Tokiyuki Retainers? We love more about them, so we get to see an episode about Gemba, who is like the thief who can transform into um, people faces, other faces. We got Fubuki, who is like a master tactician, who is also very skilled as source.
And
I
loves to
actually
eat.
like. I love to eat. I actually like Fubuki characters, and then we got like the whole bunch of episode in the end where focus on the other guy, Korichu, Nizu,
Kojiro.
Korichu, Kochiro. All right, yep. Oh my god,
Yeah. Yeah,
yep.
I mean, it's
So
a historical anime. There's going to be a lot of there's a lot of really Japanese names,
yep, yep, yep,
and
yep.
some of them are going to sound the same. You know, like for example, Ashikaga, the guy who betrays the Hojo clan and like strips the Kamakura shogunate of its power, restores power to the emperor.
Ah, yep, yeah, yeah,
You know, the main boss, the final boss, essentially.
yep,
His name
yep, yeah, yeah,
is Takauji Ashikaga, and then his
yep.
brother, who's introduced in episode 10, I think, is Tadayoshi. So you have Takauji and Tadayoshi.
All right.
To a Japanese person, those are very different names, but to us, at least to me, you know, anytime I want to try to tell them apart in my head, I have to like pull up my anime list or pull up my notes or something
Yeah,
and make sure
yeah,
that I'm not mistaking their names for each other. So, yeah, Kojiro, he does get a chance to shine in episode 12, but I don't know, I didn't really care too much for that because the little mini bosses who they were fighting in episode 12, you know, like the big bellied guy with the yellow outfit,
yeah.
and then his boss with the face paint, they were probably the least interesting mini
I
bosses
agree.
out of
And
however many there were, like five or six or whatever.
yep, and there's something that I want to I want to know your opinion as well. So this is a kind of show who like not shy on depicting violence, like very graphic violence and about killing and all that. So I think it is split between two ways. One's that about the kids. So that one that they would go for Kochiro style. That like you can see him kill other people. I think at one point you can see him like the beheading like one of these random fighter, and he killed the big guy as well. And then we get another scene where we have Tokiyuki who like He's like kind of like a peaceful guy, and he doesn't like go out to kill someone, and even to the point that he nearly killed the priest guy, but it also ended up that the priest guy is not yet dead. So how do you think about that? Like
I don't know.
I think it's a bit like iffy of depicting underage warrior who kill other people. So I think it walk a really thin line now at the moment of depicting some of that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that the character's ages, Tokiyuki is like 9 years old, right?
Yeah,
Something like
yeah,
that. And his retainers are
and
just a
he's
little bit older.
yeah, and he's supposed to be like based on Yorishige's you know promotion that he's gonna be like get back take back his land at the age of 10 and a half or 11, so like in about 2 years.
Yeah. I mean, the reason they are the age that they are is because that's probably the age they were in history.
Yep,
Like this, that's probably
yep,
how old Tokiyuki was in history. So obviously, he was not the elusive samurai in history. You know, he was not a warrior at all. He wouldn't be on the battlefield. He was just kind of
yep,
propped up as the reason that the Shinano province would rebel against the emperor, who had been recently reinstated. They would have kind of fought under his banner, essentially,
yep.
because you need a claim to like the throne or a claim to power or what's the word I'm looking for? Legitimacy. You need a like
Mm,
a legitimate claim to power in order to rebel against the emperor. So they just would have done things in his name. He wouldn't have been a fighter.
yep,
So when this show being or this series, being a Shonen Jump series, needs there to be battles, they give these superpowers to these young children, and then you know, then at that point it can do whatever it wants. Like they don't have to kill; they can just use their superpowers to incapacitate villains, One Piece style, where no one ever really dies,
yep.
except for the guy who in the guy with the big belly in the yellow
Yep.
outfit. I think he probably really died, but I wouldn't be surprised if he showed up in season two.
Oh, damn. Damn. That's
I think
gonna
it's
be
fine.
tough.
It doesn't really bother me. I mean, it doesn't make a lot of sense that everyone lives, but
Yeah,
that's just the way it is.
right. All right. So yep, this is I'm not regretting watching the show, but yeah, I just feel like um I just not into the structure at all, and yeah, I'm not sure if I'm gonna watch the second season of this.
Well, I don't know whether I will or won't, but one
Oh,
thing that I can say about this show is that it looks amazing.
all right. Yep. I want On that note, I want to ask you about the some of the scene, especially at the scene where Tokiyuki fight against the priest inside that house.
Yeah,
Uh,
episode 8.
you see like the Fuji where like the priest guy just walk into it and all that. Is that kind of distracting, or is that do you think is appropriate? It's kind
There's
of
some
distract for
there's
me
some
a bit.
distracting CG in this show. I mean, there's a bunch of like horseback models where both the
Yep,
horse and
yep,
the
yep,
rider are in CG, and those can kind
yep.
of stick out a little bit. And then there's some POV shots that stick out. There's
Mm,
the CG backgrounds, like the little miniature shrine, I guess, where that fight takes place versus Shulkan, the priest, in episode 8. But I think anime is just moving in that direction. There's a lot more CG layouts,
mm.
and I think in this show they were put to better than average use, and they looked better than average.
Yeah.
And like the fight versus Shokan in particular, the scenes where Tokiyuki is like moving so quickly that he appears in multiple places on the screen at once.
yeah.
And Shokan's
I think
just,
that
it's like
works.
he's using double team in Pokemon and there's multiple of him. Or like, to use an anime reference, I guess, Naruto doing his shadow
Yeah,
clones.
yeah,
That still looks awesome.
yeah.
Even if their surroundings are entirely computer generated, the ability that the camera has to like swivel and to move throughout space is important in depicting like that fight in particular, how it plays out because he's dodging in such close quarters. So
Hmm.
I'm okay with it. Every once in a while, I see something that makes me go like, I don't really like that, but it's I think it's a small price to pay for how good the show typically looks. All
Yeah,
the more traditional backgrounds that kind of emulate a watercolor style are just amazing.
yeah,
That's what I want out of anime is more backgrounds that look like that, and of course the action animation is all very good.
yeah, yeah. Agreed.
So you can watch this show and think that Yorishige is like super disgusting and cringe, and that the villains are all kind of goofy, and that the retainers don't really leave a strong mark on the series as a whole. And they're just kind of generic. I don't know, like companions and fighters. But then you get to watch all of them looking so awesome, and all the color design looking so good, and all the shots of the forests and lakes and mountains, and like stalks of wheat and just whatever else, all looking so beautiful and so pretty.
Yeah,
Kind of evens out in my mind.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I agree. Like when Yorishige cook one of the eels, like grill them. Oh, it looks so yummy.
Yeah, and the animation of the eel like slipping in and out of his hands is also
Uh,
really
yeah,
good.
yeah,
So it looks great before it's grilled and after.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh damn. All right. Should we move to Oshinoko?
Sure,
All right.
let's do that.
Oshinoko second season. So just a disclaimer that we haven't watched the episode 13 because it haven't been aired yet.
Right. Yeah, actually, let me check subs, please, right now. Yeah, it's still not out.
All right.
As
So
of,
let's
for me,
let's
it's
give it.
October 5th. Mario is in a different time zone, so for him, it's October 6th. It'll be out in like
Yeah.
a day, I think, a day from now, 2 days.
All right. Yeah. But well,
But there is a cliffhanger, yes. You mentioned something about a cliffhanger, like
yeah.
you think that the silver haired woman who we first meet in episode 10, maybe,
Yeah.
is actually the crow that leads Ruby and Akane into the little crypt, I guess, or whatever, where they find
Yeah.
the doctor's
Yeah.
corpse or his
Yeah.
bones.
That's what my takeaway is. Yeah. Why are you laughing? It's supposed to be serious.
Yeah, that's the thing about this show. Whenever it tries to be serious, I'm just like, oh, that's so cute.
All right.
I don't
So
really, Oshinoko and I don't really see eye to eye in general. Though there was one part of this season that I thought was really awesome.
all right. Can you tell us that?
Just the first few episodes,
All right. Yeah.
where it kind of focused on like the difficulties of adapting a manga to a different, medium. In this
Yeah.
case,
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
stage play. I was
Yeah.
just very interested in all the different people in that process who are a part of that chain, kind of. The agents and producers and the original mangaka and the script writer and the director and the actors, just the way all their the different interests that they have in the play being successful or the manga being properly represented, how what motivates each of them and the potential conflicts that can arise. I was really interested in that. The story of the person who originally wrote Tokyo Blade having an issue with the script and how they eventually worked that out, and it
Yeah.
being a different mangaka who advised them, it's a media mix. This is just part of the cost of doing business. You got to let go. of
Yeah.
your creative grip and collaborate with people and be open to your work being like taking different forms.
Yep.
I thought all of that was really cool. Very inside baseball.
Uh,
You know, I was like, wow, this is the best this show has been. And then
all right.
it went back to shit that I didn't care about.
All right. So, for those of you who haven't watched the second season of Oshinoko, I know the less of you that like the people who actually watch actually the exclusive samurais or the in full. But I just want to say that the first half of the season, or like 3/4 of it, focus on the stage play, the 3.5D stage play. With the name is Tokyo Play. And like Wupo just mentioned, we go into some of these like behind the scene of like all the people involved of making the stage from like the script writing perspective, from the stage directors perspective. And we get kind of like the insight from all these like characters, actor as well, how they approach to their roles. And I just want to say one thing though, like the mangaka, who is like have a blessing of if she want her work to be adapted, and she been very selective about that, to the point that she want to take the writing over herself. When I see the main products though, I just feel kind of let down. Like this is the kind of crap that we see like all in all anime. It's nothing special at all. So why she, you know, have to
Yeah.
make a big fuss about that?
Yeah, well that's the
Like
thing is that
all the
there's
dialogues. It just all the cliche.
yeah. But this is the kind of thing that I think Japanese audiences really like. I mean,
Oh
they must if all the like shonen series and whatever else, are so popular and so prevalent and just come out one after another.
yeah.
They must go crazy for that stuff, I guess. Like, excuse me, I'm a little under the weather right now.
Oh, you good.
Yeah. I mean, I know exactly what you're saying. All the all the traits of the characters who belong to this story, Tokyo Blade, and all the battles, and like it's even they're all kind of silly and one note and kind of hacky and cliched and everything. But the what bothered me the most was when we starting with episode 6, we see the stage play actually play out, and I really like episode 6 in isolation because I think the whole first, I want to say like 33% of that episode is like a POV shot from perhaps an audience member who's like standing in the back. So you
Yeah,
see kind
yeah,
of a wide view of the stage and how it rotates and everything.
yeah. I kind of like that.
Yeah, that was cool. And then the end of episode 6 was about Melt, the purple-haired guy whose acting really sucked in season 1 on that reality show
Oh,
or whatever.
yep, 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 yep.
Maybe he wasn't on the reality show. He was in Sweet Today.
Um, yep. He was in one of the adaptation from this mangaka sensei.
Right. The one who
Yep,
eventually convinced the Tokyo Blade author to let go of her creative grip.
yep, 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 yep,
That was kind of a nice tie-in. The fact that that other manga author kind of came back and served that function.
yep,
Anyway, yeah,
yep.
I liked episode 6 in isolation.
Mm,
But what was? Oh yeah, I remember what I was gonna say. So there it's kind of hacky. Tokyo Blade kind of hacky. But the thing that bothered me the most was Aqua. Like when it finally came time for Aqua to have his big showdown, or Aqua's character with the blue hair.
yep, yep, yep.
His this whole emphasis that the show had built up about emotional acting and how Aqua was not really a good emotional actor. He just had to find a way to
Yep,
like tap into his emotions in order to really, sell his performance. And so the way it
yep.
does that is by like him kind of reliving the trauma of Ai's death, which he
Yep.
experienced on an adult level despite being like 4 or 5 years old because of him
Yep.
being reincarnated. Whenever this
Yep. Yep.
show
Yep.
brings up the reincarnation, I'm just like, I don't care. I don't care. I don't care.
Uh,
I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. This is so
all
stupid.
right.
And so the fact that it brought the reincarnation back, you know, as a way of him like screaming and snarling and spitting and everything in order to
Yep.
act emotionally in this stage play was just so God, I just hated it so much. Like this
Uh,
this is why there are certain seiyuu in Japan who like make their name by like appearing in really dramatic battle series and like screaming at the top of their lungs. Like
yep.
the guy who plays Eren Yeager, for example. I can't remember. It's
All
Yuki
right.
Kaji, I think, is the seiyu's name. But he's like so famous for just like shredding his throat with screams to indicate that he's like really passionate and he's really gonna defeat his enemies and everything.
Yep.
It's just such, it's like pure shit. I don't know what else to say. Like it's just terrible. That Oshinoko incorporated this mentality and gave it to its like cool headed, very like kind of reserved and quiet main character, and they were like, yeah, this is how he really becomes a real actor.
Yeah, we get all these commendation commentary from other characters as well. Whenever something like going on in the screen, which is kind of very on the nose, but also like kind of a guidance for us to know like how like how much someone had improved in this and how much like emotional acting that Aqua had been doing and all that. So, but it is what it is, I think.
Yeah. There's also,
Uh,
you're talking about
how
like
did you
when
like?
we enter a character's mind when they have some particular thought about how one of their co-stars is acting on
Yep,
stage.
yep, yep, yep,
There's
yep.
there are some moments where that's useful. For example, when a character ad libs,
Yep, yep, yep.
because we don't know the script, so we don't know when an ad lib is happening. So we have to be clued in. Of course, you could just do that by having their partner in the scene, like kind of having their eyes widen a little bit, or cutting to an audience member and them being kind of surprised because this wasn't in the source material. You would assume that most people going to this revolving, stage to watch this probably very expensive play would be fans of the source material. So there would be ways to indicate an ad lib without going into somebody's head and having them think they're ad libbing. But all the
Mhm.
same, it's a way of communicating that information. So
Yep.
it's yeah, I guess it's
Uh,
not all bad.
how do you like the rivalry between Kana and Akane? It's happening for a while, but the state play is where the two of them come head to head.
You're talking about Are you talking about the love triangle or just their rivalry in general?
Not the rivalries in general, not the love triangle. I don't care about that.
Yeah. Okay. I'll tell you what I think about the rivalry in general. I think as a concept, it's fine.
Yep.
Two actors who are they're overlapping on a lot of projects. Perhaps they're thought of as assets or as valuable, like bankable stars by a lot of the same producers. Makes
Yep.
sense that a rivalry would develop there, and of course they also have opposing styles. Kana is more passionate, I guess, whereas Akane is more of a like a pure actor, I suppose. She
Hmm.
wants to like set a mood and an atmosphere with her presence, I guess, and her delivery.
Yep.
So that's great. But but when you start doing flashbacks to Akane like visiting
Yep.
Kana's agency or whatever and overhearing that she's automatically going to be chosen for a role and that the
Yep.
auditions are essentially just like a front or a sham.
Yep.
And then the conversation that those two girls have with each other, even though they're both like, what, 10 years old or something
Five.
at the time. Yeah,
All
younger, I
right.
guess, than 10.
They look like five, but I think they 10.
Yeah, the conversation they have is just it's like two at the very youngest, like two, I don't know, 14 or 15-year olds are talking to each other. It's like it really sounds like adults are having a conversation, but these are
Yeah.
two children. It's just no. No, 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 no. It doesn't work at all. You
All
can't,
right.
if they're going to be rivals, let them just be rivals in the present day and do your silly little love triangle thing and just leave it at that. Don't try to make it like super epic and have it span like multiple years and multiple phases of their careers. You already did enough of that crap with the two main characters, Ai's, son and daughter, having previous lives and trying to create this whole long like timeline of like their consciousness transferring bodies and stuff. That was bad enough. Now you have to make it so that these two side characters, even though they have a rivalry, it's not enough for them to just be rivals in the present. They also have to have like, they have to be destined rivals because in the past they had one little altercation in some, I don't know, entertainment building somewhere. Like, why? This is
Yeah.
not, you don't have to write this way. Just ah, no.
Well. I all right. I like Kana well enough that I can tolerate all that.
You like
and
Kana
I
well enough, you said.
yeah, and I don't even buy Akane, so I kind of don't mind.
Man, I hate Kana's voice, dude.
No, all right.
She talks like this. Everything she
Oh,
says has like a
all
weird
right.
twang to it.
So sexy.
You want this show? I can't. I can't. I wish I knew a Japanese sentence so I didn't sound like sort of racist. But you know what I'm talking about, right? Like she
Yeah,
constantly
yeah,
has like a vocal affectation to make everything she says sound kind of nasal and sharp.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
and it just
Can be
I hate it.
overplay. Yeah.
Ugh,
Well,
I hate it. Who
all
is
right.
her? Okay, Megumi Han is her voice actor. I recognize that name. I think she voiced Gon in Hunter x Hunter.
She's the one. Yeah.
Interesting. Scrolling through
All right.
her. Oh my God, so many.
All right. She voiced someone in Monogatari, and I don't even realize that characters.
Oh, I
Amazing.
mean, I have no trouble
Oh,
believing that. Monogatari is definitely the sort of series that would
sorry.
feature a character with this sort of like very
No. I
cutesy,
was wrong.
tropey voice.
I was wrong. That's Mononogatari. It's not the
Mononogatari.
yeah. It's the one from last year.
Ah.
It's not the Monogatari series.
Well, I can only imagine that the Monogatari series will make use of her particular
Eventually.
talents eventually because
Yeah.
she kind of sounds like a Monogatari character.
Oh boy.
A lot
All
of
right.
Monogatari characters have like very distinct verbal quirks and stuff, like
Yep.
little catchphrases or
Yep.
vocal affectations and whatever. So, I mean, I guess I should be thankful for your sake, since you're a Monogatari fan, that there's no one who sounds like Kana in that series.
Oh wow. I don't mind Kanasao in this at all, so I don't mind if we having another characters like her in the Monogatari series.
Maybe you'll get your wish someday.
All right.
I mean, the series is
Well,
continuing. It didn't just stop at what Zoku Owari. Now it's
yeah,
moving on to the college light novels and stuff. So
yeah. All right. So we end up the state production, and the next like 2 or 3 episodes, it actually focus more on on
B
the
Komachi.
investigation.
Oh, the investigation.
Mikomachi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. You know what? To
Yep.
be fair to the show, I was kind of interested in
Right.
the investigation, like a little bit. Not
Yeah.
super into it, but when it turned out that Himekawa, the La 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 main actor,
Yep.
was his
Yep.
half brother, I was like, oh, okay, this is kind of interesting.
Yep. Yep.
But that was
But
about it.
what? Yeah, what to take of that though? Because I think they give a red herring because the father that Aqua supposed to find out has already died by a double suicide, and he at this point believe that. So we see like the little star in his eyes gone, just
Right.
disappear. And then this is like the time where he's like really idle, so he doesn't really like have any more purpose to do
I see what you did
until
there.
the what?
He's really idle.
I know, yep. Well, uh, until they decide to go back to their hometowns.
Which is called
So like,
Miyazaki.
yep, takes I don't even know the town, but yep. So that's gonna be pretty bad because I've been questioned this for the whole series, the whole two season now, that why it had to be reincarnation, why don't just go when they, you know, it would have worked as well if Aqua being Aqua not reincarnated from you know the past life, but now it's go straight back to that.
I mean, I
So
think Japanese audiences just love reincarnation
uh,
as a plot point. That's
well,
probably the main reason for its inclusion.
yeah.
I mean, now we have seen the Doctor's bones and his surprisingly well preserved lab coat and slacks in this little crypt that
Oh,
the
yep,
the crow leads Ruby and Akane into. So the reincarnation element is about to, kind of take over.
yep, yep.
I mean,
Why
why
this?
why does it have to be
Why the
reincarnation
two
apart
girl
from
don't?
reincarnation being popular? I don't know if that's something we're actually going to discover.
No, yep. I just don't understand why both of them don't freak out when they see the corpse. Like they surprisingly really calm about that. They was like, "Ooh, don't look here. We see the body." And then Ruby was kind of, "Oh, I recognize this."
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, have you ever accidentally stumbled across a dead body?
Uh,
Because I
ew.
I haven't, but I imagine my react. I would, if I had to guess what my reaction would be, I would probably like I would get a jump scare, like, "Ugh!" And
Oh,
then
yeah,
after that, I would just be like, "Ew, let's get out of here." I don't know if I would scream or anything
yeah.
like that.
Ooh, yes. Some really dark stuff there. Even like when Aqua tell Akanes about like his uh
His plan to
like
kill his mother's killer.
no, so afterwards when he find out that the father is no longer alive, and Akane had like a horrific look in her face, and we don't get to know what that is. He just say later on we learn that she recognized one of the loophole from like from all of Aqua theories,
Yeah, what do you think
and
that is?
just saying that is the father who like. So we learn later on. I think that's the thing that she learned is that maybe it's not the same father. It's not the guy who died is not the father of Aqua.
Yeah,
And
but what is the loophole? Like, what has Akane figured out to suspect that it's not the father?
I have no idea. No.
I thought I thought about it, and
Yep.
what I considered was that Aqua and Ruby might not have the same father. Like that was
They are twins.
what came to
Yeah. No, they
mind. Are you sure they're
oh,
twins?
they're twins. I'm pretty sure. Just watch the first episode again. They born at the same times.
I'm just gonna Google are
All right.
Aqua and Ruby twins. I doubt I even need to type Hoshinoko. Yes, she is Aqua's younger twin sister. Okay.
Yeah.
has there ever been like a medical case in history where a woman was like a single egg was fertilized by two sperm from two different men? Is that possible?
I think that possible. That actually possible because you know how the twin there are two kind of twins. So one of like
Yeah,
they
there's
have one egg and
fraternal
then they
and the other one.
yeah yeah.
What-
So they have one egg and they break into two, and this one where they have like the two gender, which is like they have like two different sperm. So it's possible that even if she conceived at the same time, uh, they are from two different fathers. So it is possible. That's my point.
that's what I wondered. Like, is that the loophole? You know, just because let's say, for example, that
Mm.
Aqua's father really is dead and really is his
Yeah,
father. There's also Ruby's father to consider.
yeah, but that's interesting
I mean, I think they
because
probably do have the same father.
yeah, no, no,
But
that
you know, the
actually
DNA test said 99.8% probable match. So maybe the loophole is just something as
between
simple
who?
as DNA tests are not foolproof.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
That'd
true.
be pretty
But
boring though.
yeah, but you know, like it's actually you know your theory actually matches what Akane's you know like face expression it expressed because she looked horrified. She looked like she see a dead body. You know,
Yeah, she looked
it
more
just
horrified at the loophole that she thought
yeah
of than the actual dead body that she saw in
yeah
episode 12.
yeah. And I think it's kind of you know like now Akane will get involved into this because she kind of you know she Aqua been telling her about all of the stuff and she been following Aqua and Ruby into this so she might be the next one who know about all this and it's kind of you know interesting to think about you know like what her role gonna be like.
Yeah. I mean, there's a conversation between her and Aqua about how she knows that he's just keeping her around because she might be of some use to him, you know, and
Yep, yep,
she's
yep,
kind of portrayed as a character who's very like uh, level-headed and logical and has good deductive
yep.
reasoning and everything. I'm not really sure how well that actually fits her character, but that's part of
Mm.
her characterization at least. And I don't know. It kind of, in the same way that she feels Aqua's just keeping her around for that reason, it kind of feels like the show is keeping her around for that reason because she's
Mm.
the one who has these ideas about, oh, there's a loophole. And that's supposed to clue us in as the audience that, you
Yep.
know, something is amiss. So, I
Mm.
mean, apart from that, she's really just a rival for Kana and
And
another actor.
yeah, because I think Kana now is part of Ruby's idol team, so uh, there have to be another way for Akana to be involved to the story, and I think this is the way.
Yeah,
Well, I'm not
I guess
opposed to
so.
that.
Yeah, the story even
Uh,
kind of drags her along into the little grave with Ruby so she
yeah,
can find the body. Like, what are you doing there?
that's true. Yeah.
that's
Hey,
that's
well,
not your that's not your you know
and
40-year-old crush's
and
corpse.
one
It's
other thing,
hers.
yeah, and one other thing is Ruby's being incarnated by that girl Sarina. She we now learned that she having a crush on Goro Sensei, and she wanted to be the idol so that Goro can come to her and just say that you know I'm watching the show, you'll be doing well and all that. So just to meet Goro again. How the hell that she been living with Aqua for 16 years and didn't recognize the resemblance
There is no
in
resemblance. What do
action
you mean? Aqua is a,
in the way that the because they basically the same person so their way of thinking or their way of action would be the same, right?
no. I really don't think that. I mean, you said the same thing about Elusive Samurai. How come they don't know that Tokiyuki is
Okay.
the you know the inheritor of the Hojo clan? Like he was next in line for the position of shogun. but people just are not that perceptive. They don't know
All right.
everything that we know as viewers of a fictional story.
All right. I just want to challenge the all the anime writers. Think about this.
Well, I
Okay.
mean, in order to challenge them, you would probably have to. They would have to come up with like totally unique and new stories where the identities of some characters were mysteries, and you would have to guess who was supposed to be who.
Yep.
That would
Yep.
that would take a lot of effort on
Yep.
their
Yep.
part.
Yep.
I don't know if they'd be up for that.
All right. But well.
No, I don't. They're twins. There's no way that she would ever think, oh yeah,
Hmm,
my
all right.
twin is my crush who was like 20 something years older than I was.
Yep. 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 Yep.
And who at this
Yep.
point, were he still living, he would be like 40 years older because there's
y-
the age difference from when they were both still alive. And then you have to add on the life that Ruby has now lived in her new body into that age
Yep.
difference.
Yep.
But of course, none of that really matters because the doc is dead.
Yep. It. Yeah. Well, it actually just like reckon that he was 25 when he's died.
He would have, at 25, you're just getting out of med school.
All right. So
I think he was in
28,
his 30s.
30. All right, 30. It's a 30 years gap because at that point Ruby and Aqua has been born, right?
I mean, a 30-year gap is also a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree.
And when she's
Well,
having that
well.
conversation with Akane, like, what kind of age gap would you be okay with? Akane's like, well, it's really about
10.
mental age, right? So I think 10, 10 would be good. And Ruby's like, yeah, a little age gap is not too bad. Meanwhile, she's thinking about a guy who she assumes is 30 years older than she is.
Yeah. Who done that?
Who is dead,
So,
and she knows it now. Except he's
yeah.
alive and he's her twin brother.
All
Pretty
right.
weird.
Interesting. Yeah. Is there another love triangle here?
I
I
don't
hope
know.
not.
I don't know, man. I mean, the love triangle that we already have is more than enough. It's too much.
Yeah.
He's going
Yeah. Yeah.
on a date with Kana at a coffee shop, and she's like using her
Oh,
her cutesiest voice.
very smooth.
He
Yeah.
he paid the bill before I could even pay the bill. I was gonna pay for our
Mhm.
coffees, but he did it first. Zurui! Oh my
He
god, the
booked for the
color suitcase that
racing.
he chose is the same color as my glow stick in my idol group. What does it mean?
Oh god.
It
Oh
means
god.
nothing. This whole romance plot means nothing.
All right. Um. Yep. Oshinoko. Is there any other shows that you watch for the season?
No.
You wait until the end of the year to catch up on some.
I'm gonna wait until the end of the year, but I mean, like I said earlier, at this point, I'm really not looking forward to it. Like,
Yep. All right.
we're gonna see what happens. How about you? What
Yep.
else did you? I mean, Monogatari series, right? You've been
Yep.
keeping up with that, I
I
assume.
I keeping up with that. Other shows I just watched like 3 or 4 episodes. I didn't really know that Sushimi series is just 10 episodes.
Oh, was
Um,
it?
so yeah, so it's gonna be quicker watch.
Mhm.
And yep,
All right.
all right.
Well,
So
okay.
yep, next one gonna be the first impression for the 4 seasons,
Yeah, we got
which
the
will
shows
happen
lined up.
in
Each of us picked 10, and we had
yep,
almost perfect overlap this time. So we're
yep,
interested in pretty much the same slate of shows, and it'll be 2 weeks from
cool,
now. Hopefully,
yep.
they'll be good. We'll see.
We'll see. All right. Thank you guys for listening to our rambling and our love for Oshinoko and the Elusive Samurai and our mixed feeling with Dededede.
Yes.
Uh, we will see you in 2 weeks
We'll see you then.
for more anime. Bye.
Bye.